Alright, in this short session I want to show you how to set up the project and how to define a library and how to include data. So I already have logged into my data miner. Let me go ahead and open a new project, and this project is going to be saved on the server. And this project name, I'll call it Enterprise Miner. Okay, let me just call it, I think the notes says ABA for the project. Let me call it retention demo. It's a slow I guess process. So alright, and click next. Alright, once a project is created, it's got three things there. It's got data sources, diagrams, and model packages. So first thing is we need to define a library, and library is a location where the data used, we are specifying, kind of to create a library. The purpose behind creating a library is to say where the data will be available from. So let's go ahead and do file, new, library. And create a new library next, and we'll give a name. Let's call it retention. I think the book says let's use it ABA, and the path is something that that is specific to our class, and the original data miner setup on SAS server did not have the retention data, so I uploaded it to the space that is reserved for our class. And the notes, I'm sorry, the folder name is this. Okay, so that is a path where this library will be stored at, and so it's going to look into that folder for our data set. Okay, alright. Now that we have defined the library, next step is to define the data source. So create data source, and it's going to be a SAS table, and this time we'll browse, and that's going to take to our ABA folder, and under ABA folder I have retention. Click next. Now this dialog box says there are 2626 observations, and there are 21 variables. Okay, which is good. And at this point I'm just following the notes. So metadata is about data, and there are certain parameters we can set up front for the entire project. So that's what we go by metadata, and I click on advanced and customize, and so metadata advanced customize. Here we specify some parameters that will be used for managing this, for using this data set. And right now it's set up missing percentage threshold is 50, so that means maximum percentage of missing values for a variable to be rejected. If you have more than 50% observations missing data for a column, that column will not be used. Okay, and so we leave it at that. And reject variables with excessive missing values, yes. And class level count threshold, right now it's 20, we'll change that to 2. Okay, the number of levels in a class, we want it to be 2 because many of ours are 2 or more. 20 is too high, so we change it to 2. And others, we don't may have any change to this, so just go ahead and click OK and click next. So now this is where the system is showing that we have all this data. Age is input, at attempted hours fall, attempted hours spring. These are all interval type data. Okay, and then you have some course dropped is nominal type data, and gender is binary type data. Binary means 2 values. And high school rate is also interval. Target, which is 0, 1, it's a binary, and so on. Okay, so that's the set of data, and there's no problem here. Just go ahead and click next. And so then just go ahead and click next all the way up to 9, step 9. Once you're done, so there are 5 binary values, 14 interval values, 1 nominal and 1 binary. That's the target. Okay, click finish. So now the data set has been added, as you can tell from the top left here, that retention data is there. Okay, alright, next we're going to start looking at the distributions of some of these variables. There are lots of there are a few parameters that we can set at the project level, and before we start analysis, it's a good idea to set up those project level metadata preferences. So if you go to on the menu, you go to options, preferences, and these are preferences for the entire project. And as per the notes, we are okay, the sample method is set to random, and okay, and by default I think the sample method was set to top, so we changed that to random. And fetch size is max, so maximum number of observations that can be fetched will be pulled up. And since we want to use all 2626 observations, okay, so we set it to max. And okay, and then you click OK. That sets the original parameter. Alright, next what we do is you right click on the data set and just click explore. So this lets you explore the entire data set without having to specify what columns and so on, and it will figure out, if it is numeric type column, interval type, it will do certain type of exploration. If it is non-numeric, it will do a different type. Okay, alright, and so here we have the results of the explore screen. Now explore screen not only shows you summary statistics, for example, dropped classes. There are 6 possible levels, and that's the mode. And then we have data on age, for example, and age is interval type, so we got minimum, maximum, mean, and so on. And then the target data, trying to see, here it is. Okay, target class type, so that is average is 87. So out of there are 87%, because remember the data set 1, value 1 means that a student will return, and value 0 means student will not return. So that's a mode. Okay, alright, now let's see what kind of analysis we'd like to do. We can do simple plots, like a bar chart on target. So what we do is you go to actions and plot, and we want a bar chart of the target variable, and so we pick where is target, it's right there, and it's going to be a category type data, and since it's category type data we're going to do frequency, and or we can do percentages. Okay, percentage will be easy to interpret. Click next. So it's going to show us a bar chart of the class variable. So there are that many 87.28% of observations have 0, and only 12.72 observations have value 1. So 0 means they will return to university next semester. 1 means the student will not return. Okay. Alright, can then go to tile view. So tile view will simply put all the screens on one big frame so you can see them separately. Alright, and also now that we have this data, we can also look at the same we can also look at other data. There are a bunch of other columns. Okay, we got age, whether transcript or not. Okay, and so let's do what the note says. It says we can do a fall GPA, and let's do a histogram of fall GPA. So fall GPA is there it is, 2.9 is the mean, 0 lowest, 4 is the highest. So let's go to actions, plot, histogram, next, and pick fall GPA from the list here. It's going to be on the x-axis. Okay, and frequency is fine, and click finish. So that's what it looks like. And for each bar, okay, it is not really symmetric, and it's skewed. Alright, now we can change the number of bins here. So you right click and go to graph properties, and right now the number of bins is set to 10. Let's set it to 50. Apply. Okay, so if you set it to 50, it looks a little bit more distributed. If you set it even higher, maybe 100. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Alright, so let's go back to tile view. So here we have data of fall GPA. Now what happens is if I click on the target variable values, so target 0 means these are the students who come back the next semester, and these are their corresponding GPAs. Okay, and as you can tell, it's like, you know, the shaded area or the hatched area of these little bars seem to be proportional to like 80%. Okay, if you click on this one, and so with this one, if you look at, these are students who will not return the next semester, and this is a GPA. So as you go higher the GPA, and this seems to be sort of, although overall numbers, the bar heights kind of keep going up, the bar of this ones who will be returning, it's either remaining, you know, the same, or it's even dropping. So this is sort of intuitive. You know, if somebody who's not doing very well in academically, for whatever reason, may not be able to come back the next semester to continue classes. Okay, that can be found by looking at this little shade thing here. Okay, and for every class variable, we can simply see the outcome, you know, relate two variables between two graphs. Okay, and so this is something interesting about SAS Data Miner. You know, although they seem to be all separate windows, they are all sort of connected. Okay, we can also do a similar sort of analysis, like graphic analysis. There is one variable called transcript, which I think keeps track of whether 1 if student has applied for transcript in fall, or 0 otherwise. If somebody has applied for a transcript, they may likely be thinking of moving to some other school or something, so it's possible to find out. And so let's go do a bar chart. Transcript is categorical type data, so click bar, next, and if you go down here, it's transcript, there it is. It's going to give you category type and finish. It looks like that. So these are the frequencies, okay, and let's see if we can change graph properties. Data options, okay, instead of frequency let me do percent. Okay, so this is like 43% of the applicant or students did not apply for transcript, and 1 if the student applied for transcript, and 0 if otherwise. Okay, 0. So 43% did not apply for transcript, whereas 57% or 56% applied for transcript. Now let's take a let's see if this kind of relates to the target data. Okay, let me close this. Alright, so if I click on transcript 0, that means did not apply for transcript, then the proportionately I think about 50% of, about half the size of this bar has applied, whereas half the size of the target bar has this hatched line, so that means they did not apply. Whereas if you look at the data for the ones who applied, and they if you look at applied for transcript, a big proportion of the ones who will not return seem to have applied for transcripts. There seems to be some kind of a relationship there. So again, it is only graphic, doesn't give us quantifiable information, but there are other ways to get this relationship using a quantifiable method too. Alright, so next we'll see that stat explore. Okay, thanks.